Hello, hello. Oh boy, kids. We have ourselves a dandy gutting the sacred cow this week. It's your pal Kevin Gootee here. I'm happy to say that our guest gutter for the day is one of our favorites, Joanne Noscuhinsky, coming on back and doing what she loves to do, and that is take a big stinky poop on a Jennifer Lawrence film, and that film is Hunger Games. Now, the special guest host, I want to tell you who it is. I'm just going to let you hear their voice so then you can get excited. So let's see if Joanne Noscuhinsky can take the Hunger Games and make it go on a hunger strike. Yes, they deserve to die, and I hope they burn in hell. Special guest host, Kevin Israel. Oh, surprise, everybody. Look who's back for an episode.
First of all, I want to know, I've been sitting here for 3 months waiting for you to log on. And where have you been? Has anything happened? I mean, have there been any? I assume there's not been any other episodes, and this is just the next one since that last one I did.
I think Bill Schultz and Delvin Cox just snapped their pencils in anger. Special guest host Kevin Israel. It's so good to have you back, even just for tonight or maybe a few ones in the future. What's going on?
It's awesome to be back, and it's also awesome for me to say that quote. I have no idea.
And tonight's gutter, you know her. She's our favorite guest from the morning show on Compound Media, Joanne Noscuhinsky. Hi, darling. How are you?
Oh, good. I'm good. What up? You know, just like the reigning queen of gutting.
I thought you were sniffing your arm. I thought you were sniffing your armpits there. I know you don't bathe that often, but
I know. Well, it's just that they're so massive that it's hard for my mouth to get all the way up to my bicep, that I'm just really close to my armpit.
Quick question. Who wins in a flex off, you or Bill Schultz?
Oh, Joanne. I'm not even gonna let her answer.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. You know what it is? Bill is deceptively strong, I think. And depending on the amount of liquid courage.
Well, it's like that
strength.
meth head strength.
Yes, exactly. It's just the Guinness.
Oh, we're calling it Guinness for today? Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
That way we won't get sued. Just kidding. Kevin Gootee, Kevin Israel, Joanne Noscuhinsky, welcome back to Gutting the Sacred Cow, the best movie debate / movie review podcast out there. If you have not yet done so, leave us a 5-star rating, 2 or 3 sentence review on your podcast platform of choice. Joanne, did you know that quote? Yes, they deserve to die, and I hope they burn in hell.
Schindler's List. No? Is that not right?
Jim J. Bullock gets the square. Circle gets the square. That's hilarious. This is
what a guess.
Yeah, listen, this is why. This is why she's always back. You two
Bambi?
Can we backdraft? No. How about a little film from 1996 called A Time to a Kill, starring Matthew McConaughey, Sandra Bullock, and the person who said the quote, Samuel L. Jackson.
You know what? I've never seen it.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know why I've never seen it, but it's one of those movies that every time I see it advertised, I'm like, oh yeah, I saw it. And then I realized I never saw it.
I saw this in the theater, and I remember the day exactly because I said, I want to see this film. But the 1996 Game 5 of the World Series Yankees against the Braves was on. I said, I'm going in the afternoon to see this. And right when I got home, the game started, and the Yankees won 1-0 thanks to Andy Pettitte.
It was a John Grisham book, right?
It sure was. And I think it was the first one he wrote, but it's not the first Grisham book that was made into a movie. The first one was The Firm, which was terrible.
Yeah.
But tonight, Joanne has returned to continue yet again her assault on mega Hollywood star Jennifer Lawrence and her many moles. And this one she decided to take on, I say, as Keith Jackson used to say, the granddaddy of them all, The Hunger Games. A 2012 budget of $78 million. A box office haul of 693 $4.4 million. Now,
wow.
Let's go. This is what got her. She was in X-Men First Class right before this, Kevin Israel. But this is what got her into the stratosphere. $78 million budget, and then now in 2023, $101.4 million budget, and a box office haul of, as I'm typing this one right now because I forgot to do it, $902 million.
Almost $1 billion.
Yepers. Lot.
This was not $1 billion movie.
Oh, that's why Joanne's here, not you.
No, I'm not even saying. No, I'm not even saying how I feel about it. It just objectively wasn't $1 billion movie.
You know, I can say the same about Avengers: Age of Ultron, but here we are. IMDb, folks, you know the drill. 1 through 10 with decimal points. Joanne, what did the Hunger Games score?
I'm going to say like 9.2.
Oof. That is Tom Hanks' 1990s movies kind of high right there. Kevin Israel, your answer.
7.8.
7.2.
Close.
Critics, Rotten Tomatoes, 1 through 100. Kevin Israel, your honor.
73.
Joanne.
80.
84.
Oh, wow.
The lady takes the nod.
Wow, critics.
Back to the lady, Joanne Noscuhinsky, nay Goodhart, I guess we should say now.
Yeah.
Audience, have you changed your name on your license yet?
No, waiting on the passport first.
That's a smart move. Audience Rotten Tomatoes score. What do you have?
Is that to 100?
Yes, it is. Sorry. Yes.
Audience. Okay, see, I'm thinking that the audience really loved it. So I'm going to say like 92.
Kevin Israel.
89.
81.
Wow, the critics liked it better.
I know.
Still very confused.
By the way, have you seen the photo behind me tonight? I photoshopped.
That's great.
I knew Joanne would get a kick out of that one. 5 fun facts. This one disheartened me to learn this. Donald Sutherland was so keen to play President Snow that he wrote the director a multi-page letter explaining why the character was so important and how he would play him. He even read all the books beforehand, so he knew everything about Snow. That's dedication to one job, right?
That's a nerd.
Why is
It's also a waste of time.
Why is Donald Sutherland chasing this role down? I understand Jonah Hill chasing down Scorsese for the right to work in Wolf of Wall Street and taking scale. I get that. But this? By the way, every time I see Donald Sutherland, I think of him as a professor in Animal House. With his ass? I'm not joking. This is my job. Number 2. This is my favorite section. Why don't you folks start guessing which actresses auditioned for the role of Katniss Everdeen? You can easily get. Actually, you know what? You really don't think. I don't think any of these are easy. So I'll just read them instead. Chloe Grace Moretz from Kick-Ass. Saoirse Ronan, the Irish woman that no one gives a shit about from Lady Bird.
I love her.
Do you? All right.
Oh. I like Chloe Grace Moretz.
I do too. Haley Steinfeld, I could see that being these two.
I could see that, yeah.
Damn, they're exactly alike. Shailene Woodley.
Wasn't she? But then she was in Divergent, wasn't she?
Yep.
Yeah.
She was having a moment back then. Like she was really popular.
She's very average looking. She's just very.
And here, Aaron Rodgers puts her in a pedestal. What in the name of Sir Isaac H. Newton is going on? Emma Roberts also considered. No thanks. Abigail Breslin, and that's it. Well, for all you folks who have a problem with females getting paid in Hollywood, how about you take a stab on how much Jennifer Lawrence was paid for all 3 films?
All 3 combined?
Each. I have the answer.
Each.
First one was, what do you think?
I'm going to...
Go ahead, Joanne.
I'm going to say 3 mil.
Israel.
2.
$500,000.
Okay.
Wow.
How much for the second one?
I'm going to say 2 mil.
5.
10.
What?
And the last?
12 million.
20.
15.
Wow.
That is inflation, baby.
I know, right? It's like that. It's like that rookie quarterback who goes out like Mahomes, like his first year or two, wins a Super Bowl, goes, "We're going to tear this contract up right now."
Show me the money.
I wonder if she got points. That's where the real money is on the back end. Not the salary.
Well, yeah. Once the first movie makes $600 million, fuck the $3 million.
Right. Yeah. I want 5% back end gross. And she goes from a Hollywood 5.5 to a Hollywood 9.5.
If not on the second movie, she definitely got points on the third and fourth movies.
True. This one cracked me up. On the last day of training for the first film, Jennifer Lawrence ran full speed into a wall.
Like
much like
fun?
her career has now.
Hey-o.
Hey.
Yeah, but does she need all that money after
No,
she
apparently not.
Yeah. What was missing?
You give me just $15 million, you're never going to hear from me again.
No. Oh, I hope we hang out.
I mean, you'll hear from me again.
Oh, thank you.
These people will never hear from me again.
Yeah, sorry, fans. Sorry, like the Lord Snurts of the world and Race to Canuses. Yeah, what was missing? A big sign that says Acme over the hole in the wall that she thought he put there? Her trainer was afraid she had burst her spleen and she had to get a CAT scan. Looks like her face saved her spleen from real damage.
Ouch.
And you I thought Joanne would be the one with all the cut-ups here first. This film is banned in Vietnam for fun fact number 5. While the idea of child soldiers and gladiators battling to the death may seem far-fetched and dystopian to Western audiences, sadly, in some parts of the world, it's too close to home, including Vietnam, where the first film is banned. But the second one has them in the Thunderdome again!
And the second would make no sense.
Yeah.
You just start with the second movie?
Those Vietnamese silly people. All right, let's go right over to where the fan, as the aforementioned Lord Snurts and his fellow legion of herd are hanging out, getting ready to ask Joanne to ask a gutter. Lord Snurts batting Ricky Henderson, number 1 leadoff. Pick your dream duo for the Hunger Games using 1980s and 1990s action characters. My initial picks, Snake Plissken and John Rambo. I could also go all Arnold.
Yeah.
Go in.
I saw this tweet, so I had a little time to think about it. Very great question. My answer might not be expected, but it also might if you know me.
I think
My
I do.
duo would be John Travolta and Sylvester Stallone from the Stayin' Alive era, 1983, because Stallone did in fact train. Wait, why did I just have a stroke? John Travolta. I want to say John Stamos for a second. John Travolta to get in the best shape of his life. So I would love to see the two of them just like shirtless, rubbing oil on each other and throwing machetes.
I knew that'd be your answer without question. And the oil rubbing part, I'm sure Stallone would not have a noticeable erection like John Stamos. You son of a bitch, you did it to me now. John Travolta would. I like that. Israel, you have a thought on that one?
Absolutely. Dalton and Dutch.
Oh, good
Dalton
one.
from Roadhouse and Dutch from Predator.
Well, I think you should know where I'm going to go with next week. This one, I'm going to go with good old Jack Burton from the old Pork Chop Express. Can't go wrong with him. And how about Wesley Snipes from Demolition Man, Simon Phoenix, just to get a little color in the mix here.
That's a good call.
Thank you. Who doesn't love that film? At Newark Knight, Brandon Oglesby, is Katniss the typical overly stoic female action hero, or does she get the right amount of emotional depth and grit?
Well, we know Jennifer Lawrence doesn't do any of that. Either option, really. We just have like cheekbones, pretty much, for the whole movie, and this face, like it's slightly fish, but that's about it.
Oh, 2 other entrants for the Hunger Games. I would like Salma Hayek from Dusk Till Dawn because that's 1990s, and Denise Richards, Wild Things, 1999.
Or Starship Troopers.
Starship Troopers.
Starship Troopers.
Yeah, can't go wrong. Can't go wrong. Next, it's a follow-up actually from at Newark Knight. He wants to know, also, is the outcome of the game being a tie a good plot detail, or an overly convenient one?
Well, but like convenient for who? I guess the writers. Yeah, I guess it is kind of convenient. Also, then for the fact of there's more to come.
Mm-hmm.
So,
But
yeah,
wait, there's more.
it's convenient, but watching it again, I forgot kind of how it happened. So in that way, it's not like too cliche or anything.
All right. The question I have also written down in my notes, Bango2331 asked, and I'm sure this is on all the tips of our tongues, how long would Bill Schultz last in the Hunger Games?
He wouldn't have made it through the shoot. He would have died in the shoot.
Or he would have stepped off immediately.
Yeah, just blown up. He would have been like the lady in Speed who tried getting off the bus.
Yes. I have an answer. I think he'd be the second one to die, because what would happen is he would start walking around the jungle, light up a cigarette, and then start doing a live stream walking tour of the battlefield, and then get offed by one of the contestants.
Probably.
The cigarette.
Now, you know what happened?
What?
Some bigger guy would pull his pocket inside out and tell Bill to hold it. That's a prison reference.
Yes. At Pedestrian, it's funny, PETA sells bread, right? Waka.
That is funny, actually.
I chuckle too. Yeah, very well done. At Rex Crumb, is the reason Katniss never took off as a trendy name for girls because it sounds like a condition, or because this movie sucks?
Yeah, right. It is funny that there aren't more of the names that are featured in this film, but Katniss just sounds like catnip to me.
Right.
So I think that might be why.
Well, it's funny that he asked that. I said to my wife last night while we were watching it, there were definitely people who named their kid Katniss. Like, we might have not come across them, but there are people out in the Midwest who we'll just never run into who were like, that's a good name, Katniss.
They all have outhouses in their backyards.
And go ice fishing.
Yeah. My answer as the kid who made fun of people throughout school would be, if someone in the school was named Katniss, take a guess what their nickname would be. Cat shit. Easy. If you could only imagine the amount of research I had to think of doing as a comic, writing all the possibilities of names down we had and ways that people could make fun of them, it took a long time. Joanne, you'll do the same.
Yeah, I like to work smarter, not harder. So I just make fun of physical attributes that are really obvious.
Low hanging fruit.
Hey, goiter face, what's going on? Would you do the homework last night? At Taco Shirt Krillin, be honest. If the Hunger Games were a real thing, would you watch it every year? And if so, would you place bets?
Yeah.
I like Survivor. It's not that far off, except for like the death.
You watch Survivor?
Kevin gambles on his kids' soccer games. Of course he would.
Excuse me, my daughter is not playing soccer because I'll be forced to watch soccer then. No, thank you. But I'd be betting the shit out of it. You're 100% about right. Betting that without fail. Listen, the fat kid, he's the first to go. I don't care. It's minus 10,000. I'll lay those odds every time. And at Nemirovsky, this is a good one. I also wrote this question out of my notes. What weapon would you choose if you were one of the tributes?
I would want to throw all those little knives. I would first need to learn how to do so. But that just seems so cool. And, I think it would also be really easy to access. I worry about the bows that I'd accidentally sit on it. Or I lean over and they all fall out of my little carrier. But the little knives, you just have them in lots of different little pockets and just, yeah.
That's a fair answer. Israel, how about yourself, besides your acid tongue of yours?
I would choose. I just got done reading a book about people fighting with different hand-to-hand weapons, and I would choose a shield with a spike on it in the middle.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Interesting answer. I would love to get my hands on, boy, I didn't even think of this. How about just a good old-fashioned axe? And then I could just run around like Gimli from Lord of the Rings and go, and on my axe. Just to yell about
my axe.
Yeah. Speaking of, that'll be coming out next week with Lord of the Rings Return of the King was done in this very podcast. And I think that closes the door and Ask a Gutter. It does. Before we do that, hey, no one listens to the end of podcast, right? Joanne Noscuhinsky, tell everybody what you're up to and where we can find you. Plugs time.
Oh, that's so thoughtful. You can watch me and some guy named Bill Monday through Thursday at noon on compoundmedia.com. If you don't want to pay for a subscription, you can check out our YouTube channel at Mornin, Bill, and Joe. I put up a whole bunch of interviews, clips, things like that. Also at Mornin, Bill, and Joe on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter.
Kevin Israel.
We got a bunch of cool shows coming up in March and April. So check out my calendar at kevinisrael.com or just kevinisrael.com. I don't know why I said at. And yeah, that's it.
Comics Watching Comics is coming back now in the Facebook metaverse. So when you're done stroking it out to your favorite J-Lo deepfake porno, why not watch seasons 1 through 8 of Comics Watching Comics coming very soon to you in the Facebook metaverse, being that fantasy football jibber jabber is now over. And of course, at GTSC Podcast on Twitter and guttingthesacredcow at gmail.com. Leaving us those 5-star ratings are chef's kiss beautiful. Kevin Israel, let's see if we can get back in rhythm just one more time and see if we can welcome Joanne to the Sacred
Cow.
That sounded pretty good.
Thank you.
It sounded perfect to me.
Yeah. Take it away, my lady.
Wait, we don't want to do a quote?
You can do a quote. We did.
There's
oh,
really
you know what?
only
Did I do the
there's
quotes?
only one.
I forgot to do the quotes. God damn it. Yeah, there are 2. Thank you. Jesus Christ. Well, that's what happens when you're guest about 8 times, whatever it is on this show. She knows the format better than I do. Quotes. We'll jump ahead. May the odds ever be in your favor, obviously.
Yep.
And here's one I jumped out at me. Everyone loves an underdog. I don't, said Snow. Who said that? Did he steal from 1970s, the early 1990s George Steinbrenner, owner of the New York Yankees? Joanne, any other quotes come out from you? That was it?
I volunteered tribute. Exactly how Jennifer Lawrence did it too.
Israel got a quote or no? I'm sorry, is that it? I don't want to cut you off. Israel quote or no?
No, that's it. That's all mine.
The president actually had all the good quotes. He had a little hope is dangerous. A little hope is good. A lot of hope is dangerous.
Yep.
And the only thing stronger than fear is hope.
That's good.
Which were 2 pretty insightful little quotes.
I can't wait to see that on Instagram hoes as they strip down naked and put that as their platitude into their into the postings in the comment section.
I'm gonna get it on a piece of wood that I hang in my kitchen.
Driftwood. Sorry, Joanne. Again, the floor is yours.
Okay, so let me preface all of this by saying I read the books years ago. All the books. I loved all of the books. So I was really excited when the movie was coming out and I went to see it in theaters. I went to the movie theater a night after heavy drinking. And that was my problem because I had to leave the theater due to one of my main issues with this film, the fucking camera work. Okay. I got so nauseous. Like it felt like Blair Witch nausea to me. I had to leave. But after then watching it back again, I realized not all of the film is like that. And I think that it was meant to show the chaos in the beginning, the anxiety that the people in the 12th district were having over this lottery of children. But like, don't start a movie that way because people will walk out. So yeah, my 2 overall main issues with the film are the camera work and the storytelling. Because again, as someone who read the book, I don't know that anyone's ever really satisfied with the film, but there are definitely things that could have been done better. Mm-hmm. So we start in District 12. We meet Katniss, who's very protective over her little sister. And we don't know why. Until later. We don't find out until later why she's her sister's main caregiver, protector, friend. So her volunteering to take her sister's place seems odd. It just feels a little odd. Then we find out she is the first ever volunteer in this thing that has been going on for 74 years? No other older sibling has ever volunteered to take the place of their younger sibling. What kind of horse shit is that? That's absurd. Also, we see her in District 12. She's in the woods. She's looking good in her leather jacket, her beautiful braid with the curls falling out of it. I don't see any dirt on her. She doesn't look like she's been in the woods. There's no where her jacket got caught on bushes or twigs. She's seen taking a bath before the lottery, but like all this dirt's coming off. I don't know where from. So there's some inconsistency with that storytelling. Also just the casting in general, you guys, we know I don't like Jennifer Lawrence.
Mm-hmm.
And it's mainly because her face doesn't move. It's her acting choice, and either you respect it or you don't. I don't. But there are other issues with me with the casting. One, her height. I think it ages her a little bit. And I do think the character should sort of be on par with Peeta. The difference in height there was strange to me. Also, is she hungry?
Yeah.
I know it's so bad. It's so bad. And she has said as much in interviews, like it's great to have young people seeing an example of an action female who's a little curvier. But, she's afraid her sister won't eat. Like, if you want to eat, you end up having to enter yourself into this lottery more times to get food from this, from the capital. So you just have suspension of disbelief. I don't know, but she's pretty, but like she shouldn't be. She should look emaciated. That's all.
Joanne, do you remember from the books? Do you remember what they said Peeta looked like in the books?
I think kind of similar. I think he was blonde. I think he was like a little Dutch boy. I don't know. Yeah. I could see the boys more. I didn't really picture Katniss as Jennifer Lawrence. I almost picture more like an Anna Kendrick, like a little more angular,
sprightly as fuck, though.
A little like a little fucking darty animal. I don't know,
like a ferret.
Pretty much.
Darty animal.
What's Anna Kendrick gonna do? Sing while she knocks a bow and arrow?
She could. I mean, she could. This girl sings in here all the time. She's singing to her sister. She's singing to Rue as she's dying. She's whistling. We needed someone with musical background.
I forgot. Why did she step in for her sister? I missed that detail.
So it turns out that the father died, I guess, in a mine shaft explosion.
Right. I remember that.
And the mother checked the fuck out. The mother was just like, I can't deal. And she was just kind of an absent mother. She was there physically, but mentally she was absent. So Katniss needed to like step up and help raise the sister.
Okay. All right, yeah. That's what
I guess.
Yep. By the way, the mom was the wife of Ray Donovan, who died in like season 4 of cancer, if you watch that show.
Oh shit, you're right.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know.
Anyway.
Another really creepy point with the storytelling, especially in this film, is what we're doing with the children. Like, yeah, it's children fighting each other to the death, and adults are watching for sport, but they are also literally grooming these children. There is this sexual tone throughout the film that is really creepy when you remember, like they aren't even supposed to be 18 years old. The literal grooming of they get to the Capitol, she's getting waxed and hosed down.
Right in here.
For what? Like, is the camera, all these people watching, they're going to zoom in on your legs? Weird. Also, Lenny Kravitz. At first, I hated this casting, and then I was like, I love this casting because it's so strange. But also, he might be the creepiest with her. like the slow zipping up of her jacket, kissing her on the cheek, their forehead to forehead. It's just inappropriate. If that were happening with a real adult and a child, and I walked into the room, I'd want to talk to a manager because I don't like that.
You know what's funny? I always assumed he was supposed to be gay. I don't know.
Yeah, I did too.
I don't know if it was the eye makeup or what, but like it didn't creep me out because I was like, oh, he's gay.
It doesn't matter. It's still an adult with a child. I don't like it. Okay, the training that they go through is kind of hysterical because Peeta sucks at everything. At everything. And yet he's supposed to be incredibly strong. I've seen you throw sacks of flour over your shoulder. And so he can't even hold himself up on like a rope climb. And then she's like, do it, Peeta. You got to show him that you can throw a kettlebell. And he does. And everyone's like, whoa. I'm like, really? That's going to help you survive out in the wild? Yes. Then during the training, Katniss gets an 11 for just shooting an arrow into an apple when she missed her first target. She didn't get the first one. They didn't see the second one. Then she just shoots an arrow into an apple. That's it. That's all she did. And she gets an 11. I don't like it. But
she was sassy.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
Points for sass.
Yeah.
Well, but here's the thing. Then her handlers were a little upset. They're like, we got to get people to like you. And I'm like, is she particularly ornery? Has she been a nuisance? Has she been a troublemaker? No, she's been absolutely nothing. So this whole thing of like, well, Peeta's got to do this love story. It'll only help you gain favor because you don't have any favor. You don't have anything. You don't even have an expression on your face. What do you mean you need favor? So that's what I found wild.
Yeah.
That reminds me of in the movie Captain Marvel. Everybody's complaint was they kept on saying like she's such a rebel and she's so dangerous but meanwhile like nothing ever happened in the movie that actually suggested she was rebellious or dangerous. And you're right, it's the same thing with Katniss.
Or entertaining.
Well, yeah, or that.
What I think is so interesting, and this is comparing J Law to Katniss. Okay, Katniss is from District 12. I don't know that she's ever been in a fancy dress or a pair of heels in her life. And that girl can walk upstairs and twirl in a dress with fire. But Jennifer Lawrence is going to fall down on red carpets, walking upstairs to get awards. Come on. Unbelievable.
Talk about role reversal. Yeah.
Truly. Woody Harrelson, he has his creepy moments. He plays the typical drunk. It's a fine character, but maybe a little too on the nose. I don't know. It's not enough for me to like give him a full like yay or nay. In general, everything in this plot, as soon as everyone's in the arena and they're fighting, it is very predictable. The fact that Peeta, turns on her, he hasn't. That's just his way of protecting her. The fact that the little Mockingjay pin is going to come into handy later, the Mockingjays in the forest, like everything. There were no real big gotcha or whoa, I didn't see that coming moments. The biggest one was the joke that was Peeta's face makeup when he was the hidden stone.
Yeah. He took my notes.
He was like the rock. Sorry. He was like the rock guy in Thor 4 and 3.
It was so good. Like there was no mirror. Where did he get a paintbrush? It was so wild. Also, there was a really big missed opportunity, and granted, it is not what happened in the book, so they couldn't do it. But how badly did you want when Rue was screaming, "Help me, help me," for Katniss to run over and then Rue to fucking kill her?
Yep, that's what I thought too. I just
wanted her to turn and kill her, but alas, that did not happen.
That happened in the books? What happened in the books?
In the book, exactly the same in the books.
It was exactly the same. Oh.
But the relationship between the two of them feels even stronger in the book. And so you are really sad when Rue died. Like, that is a surprise when it happens. Okay, so now we're getting to when Jennifer Lawrence and Peeta are in the cave. You guys, how it's so creepy that even these adults who are I guess the producers of the show are like, well, we need to up the lovey-dovey. We need this relationship. And then it's like, oh, kiss. You call that a kiss? When they received their money for their sexual act. It's like, it's so heinous. It is so heinous that it's like, well, you got to give the people what they want. You got to show, I need more of a kiss if you want to get the medicine. Like, that to me is creepier than adults watching children kill each other. I mean, really.
She should have said, okay, fine, and then spit in her hand, and then pull his pants down and then cut right to black, and you see his eyes roll in the back of his head. And to keep it PG-13, of course.
I was going to say, if this was an R film, perhaps. And then, finally we get to the berries at the end. Now, watching this again, I actually had forgotten. I knew that they did something so that the game would end and they would both survive, but I couldn't remember what it was. And then I wasn't sure if I was conflating or like thinking of another book, like one of the other books that I read from this series. I remember the ending being a bigger deal. In the film, it's sort of like you got to call their bluff, or like they're not going to be like, all right, put them in your mouth. Like, how far is it going to go? They immediately are like, okay, fine, you both win, which I thought was a bit of like it was too abrupt of an ending. And yet sticking on with the creepy child theme, she's now just a child bride. She's now the movie ends and it's sort of like, well, we made this bed. Now you got to marry him. This is trafficking. I'm pretty sure that's what this is.
It should have ended with him just unzipping his pants slowly and then pointing down to his dick. Black.
Imagine if Peeta was in on this the whole time. Yeah. The whole time. He's a part of the Capitol. Who knows? So yeah, there you go. There is my gutting. All in all, I should have been cast in this. It would have been a better film.
It's in my notes too.
Thank you.
Give me a score, JoJo.
I'll go 5.
All right, so you didn't hate it. It was neither here nor there. All right, good enough.
I like the book. That's what's hard.
Oh, see, that's it. See, you can't separate the two mediums.
Yeah,
it's hard. It's really hard.
What was the book, in your opinion, 1 to 10?
Oh, the book, when I read it, was like an 8.5.
But isn't there a lot of, I read the books because someone said, read these. I got them. I go, oh, I read like halfway through. I go, oh, this is like a young adult shit. But now I'm all in. I guess I got to finish it. I don't remember the books being that different from the films. So do you recall them being the same as well, or pretty similar? Or were there a lot of discrepancies?
Not so much discrepancies. It's just like the feeling. It's the tone of it. It's definitely different watching it than reading it, because when you're reading it, you're like, oh, I'm Katniss. And so you put yourself in, or at least I would put myself in her position. And so I'm imagining it. I can't remember, but
I don't think it is.
I read everything like I am the main person. I think it's just the actress in
a true narcissist.
I was just going to say that.
Yes. So, there's just more emotional stake. And in the book, there's just more time to really establish the relationships, the drama, the anxiety, like all of the feelings that the movie, maybe if this was a limited series, which really wasn't that big back then, now everything is a limited series. I think this could have done really well as that.
And then you had Divergent, the watered down Hunger Games with the aforementioned Shailene Woodley. I've never watched that. That's
I did.
No, me either.
And I read the books.
Did you?
Yeah.
We were both going on the same young girls alley at Barnes & Noble, weren't we, Kevin Israel? The hell's wrong with us? Speaking of, it's your turn, sir. Let's hear what you have to say.
So going back to that point, I read a ton of like post-apocalyptic type novels and dystopian future type novels. I never read Hunger Games, but I did read Divergent. I read a couple other of those YA type books, not realizing that's what it was at the time.
You guys, I am younger than you, by the way. We do know this, right? Like by a few years.
Working to get on our good side still, Kevin Israel.
Why?
Where'd that
Why
come
does
from,
that
Joanne?
Why does that matter?
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying, like,
We're not calling you old.
Yeah.
No.
Yet.
I'm saying the reason why I was so into these young adult novels is because I was a young adult.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I see what you're saying. Yeah.
You know, like that's why I think I enjoyed it.
Yeah, because and that wasn't
probably.
a thing when we were kids. There was no young adults. Like you read
The
it was
Hardy
either Tom
Boys.
Sawyer or right. And I read, and when I was a kid, I read a lot of like fantasy novels, like Lord of the Rings type stuff. So like the story, this idea was kind of at the time a revolutionary. This was one of the first movies that really took a look at a post-apocalyptic world that they never really get into the specifics of what happened, but some shit went down, and now the world is all broken up and fragmented into, the social stratification layers, socioeconomic. And at the time, I remember I saw the movie in the theater too, and I remember thinking, this is like, it's really a cool idea. It's unique, it's original. But watching it again, and I just watched it again last night, we've seen this now play out so many times in so many other movies and TV shows like The Walking Dead and all that shit, where the world ends and the basic premise is, and I'm so tired of it, and I'm watching The Last of Us now, and I really hope that it's not the theme with that show, is when the world falls apart, people just become shit. And that's the basic theme of this book, these movies in the book is, when everything goes bad and you lose, structure in the world, people just become shit and resort to their base needs. And that's where you have like these, the rich people just treating the poor people as basically slave labor and fodder for their entertainment. And that's all it is. And so I remember watching at the time being like, oh, this is so fucked up and it's so original and so unique. But now watching it, it's like, I've seen this all before, and it just didn't feel as fresh to me as it when I saw it, 11 years ago. This movie should be really a character-driven movie that's that really sits on the shoulders of its protagonist, obviously Katniss. And to all of Joanne's points, Jennifer Lawrence in this, and I mean, I won't get into her other parts, but in this movie is just so one-dimensional and so incapable of emoting anything that you and the audience care about. And you just watch, and she has no emotion. Even when you're right, even when she steps out and says, I volunteer, she's just like, I volunteer. It's like, oh my God. She's like, you got to stay. Like, there's no you don't feel any connection between her and anybody. There's just no connection, not between her and Gale, the worst name for a guy.
Yep.
And I forgot that his name is Gale, and I went back to read some summaries of the movies and the books to get a better feel. They kept talking about Gale, and I was like, I don't remember this lady Gale. Who are they talking about?
Yeah.
And between her and obviously the whole relationship with Peeta is supposed to evolve over time, and even into the next movies and stories it evolves. But there's no chemistry between the two of them whatsoever. Whether it's like or dislike, there's just nothing. And so it's confusing whether she actually likes him or not. Now, I think it's supposed to sort of be confusing, but in this, it's not confusing in the right way. It's not confusing because it's like, oh, is she pretending or isn't? It's just confusing because you can't pick up any emotion from Jennifer Lawrence in this to go, I get it. And Peeta is, and that's why I asked you what he looked like in the books. I think he's terribly cast. And I agree, like maybe if Jennifer Lawrence was shorter, it would have been better. But I feel like Peeta should have been a bigger guy. If his whole thing, if his only attribute is that he's strong, that's it. Yeah. He should have been a big guy, or at least short and like stocky, like looks like a guy who could, throw a fucking whatever that thing was. But he's just this little dude, and they're just like, yeah, you're strong. And he's like, okay, I guess I'm strong. And it's completely unbelievable. And then he fights this kid who actually looks like a killer. And he's like throwing her around. He's like, this kid weighs 120 pounds. He's like 5'6" and $115, and he's supposed to be the strong one. Oh, but not only that, he's really good with makeup. And that just comes out of nowhere. He does it once on his hand, and she's like, "What's that?" He's like, "It's a talent." And it's such a Chekhov gun moment where it's like, all right, well, clearly that's going to come back in at some point. And then it comes back in the most ridiculous. First of all, she happens to trip on him in this entire environment she's running through. She lands on his face. Sorry. And he happens to be there. When did he have time? Forget the equipment. When did he have time to do it? Could you imagine he's sitting there with a mirror putting on the makeup and some guy with a bow and arrow is like, look at this fucking idiot. He's been putting this makeup on for 40 minutes. That was just absolutely completely insane.
That was the gayest tiger pit trap I've ever seen in my life in a film.
And then the movie makes up a bunch of dangers that they introduce, but they've never teased before. So it's not really it just doesn't feel as interesting. Like the whole thing with the tracker jackers, which by the way I said 100 times last night after they said it in the movie. I just kept looking at my wife and going, "So damn tracker jackers. Those tracker jackers will get you." Like they've never talked about them. You didn't know they could genetically modify anything, and then suddenly it's like these deadly hornets just happen to be there, and nobody else noticed this giant hornet's nest hanging from the tree that are full of deadly bees, and they just suddenly appeared in the morning and they're like, "Oh yeah, those things." That completely insane. And by the way, while they're at the bottom of the tree trying to get to Jennifer Lawrence, those guys gave up so easily. He tried to climb once and fell down. She shot 2 arrows. And then Pete is just like, "We're going to wait her out."
Yeah.
You know how long it would wait for somebody to starve in a tree? You're going to be there for like 4 or 5 days. Why not burn her out of the tree or chop the tree down or something? That would have been faster than just waiting. They're the laziest killers in the world, which gets to another point. These killers. So I assume, and Joanne, you can tell me because I'm sure the book explained it a little better. As you go from 1 to 12, is it that the inner areas are richer, and as you go out, it gets poorer and poorer and poorer, or are they all just poor?
Essentially, yeah, that is the idea. And in terms of, because this is what, like the 75th, right? So it's kind of all like sports teams, like the ones that have done well in the past, they're the ones who get the attention, the donors, or whatever else. I actually don't know sports, so I don't know if that's how it works. But the ones who have done well, and I think that they did say in the film that like districts 1 and 2 constantly win.
Yeah.
And so they have better training and all of that.
But you would think, knowing your kids are going to there's a chance that your kids are going to have to be murderers, that everybody would train a little bit in knowing how to do this. Like when the original girl, when Katniss's sister gets called, she's just like this little kid who's got she should have been trained a little bit. Like, it's just terrible planning for something that's been going on for 74 years. They haven't come up with any single plan for all their kids to survive this whole mess.
Yeah, there isn't like a school to train the children. That's weird. You're right.
And they said that
like a Montessori for fucking warriors.
Yeah, like, all right, you go work the fields from 6 hours a day, and 3 hours a day you learn how to murder your next door neighbor. Like, I mean, something. The rehash CGI devil dogs from Ghostbusters that just sort of come out of nowhere. That it's not really clear what they are. They're completely uninteresting. And when they first put them up, I thought it was like a cougar or something. And then they showed, and I guess, CGI in 2012 wasn't what it is now, but they should have just gotten real like dogs or something. It just looked so bad and so fake and so not dangerous. Like I didn't actually get any sense of danger from these things. And that's the climax of the movie. That these things that they're having the final battle with these monsters at the bottom, just get some real like pit bulls or something. I don't know. It really took me out. And then even when the kid fell in and he was getting eaten by them, it was just like, and again, it was PG-13, so they couldn't have shown a bunch of blood, but it didn't feel like there was any actual cost or concern to anything.
Yeah, they should have you're right. They should have gotten a couple of dogs from like Washington Heights who are missing an eye due to dog fighting in the bodega.
Don't feed them for a couple of days, poke them a little bit and let them out.
By the way, you said that CGI wasn't up to speed. I declare shenanigans. The Avengers came out in 2012, so nope.
Oh, that's a good point.
It was on par.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's a good point. Wow, that's so crazy. And my last point is more of just a critique of how the movie ended, and I guess the book ended the same way. I think they should have both eaten the berries and then like thought they were dying, and then they wake up in like a hospital bed and they didn't let them die. They wouldn't let them die because we needed them. It felt like it felt like they were cheated of their actual bravery and the willingness to take that risk. And they didn't even get it to the mouth. They were like down here starting to lift it up, and he was like, okay, forget it. Like if they ate it and they started to die, and then they both woke up in a hospital bed and they were like, we weren't going to let you guys, congratulations, you won. And they had played it off, and it was like, they robbed us of this great act where we could have been martyrs. I think that would have had so much more of a meaningful moment for the characters rather than them just being like, don't do it. And in my head, I actually thought they ate the berries. And when they didn't, I was like, oh, that's kind of shitty. I guess I made that entirely up.
Well, they couldn't eat the berries because they can't go full Romeo and Juliet because there's 2 more films to answer for.
But it would have been, they would have been saved. I'm saying that They would have come out and give them the anti-venom or whatever.
And
they would have given the same shot that Uma Thurman got in Pulp Fiction. Adrenaline
oh
the heart.
my God.
Say something.
Quentin Tarantino would have run out and jammed her in the.
Wait, and he would have had Katniss Everdeen barefoot.
God.
But yeah, to Kevin's point, at the end, at that moment, Katniss says to Peeta, like, trust me, meaning like, trust me, they won't let us do that. Like, they won't let both of us kill ourselves.
Yeah.
It's not like she's saying, let's do this, let's both kill ourselves. She's saying, trust me, we're not gonna die.
Yeah.
So it would have been cooler if they both really committed to it.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, they woke up later and they're being tended to, and they're both alive.
Right. And they have Hamish have to come up with some story to like, oh yeah, that didn't happen or something, like whatever.
Yeah.
My one last point that I forgot to make is, how do people watch this? This is going on 24 hours a day over at least the course of a week. Does the entire society just stop and sit in front of their TVs, or is there like an NFL red zone for this where it's like, you got to watch right now, and everybody drops what they're doing and runs over to their TV? Because Katniss was unconscious for 2 days. Like, what did anybody do during that 2 days? And by the way, only 2 kids died during that 2 days. So it must be the most boring, drawn out thing to have to sit and watch. I don't know. It must be like the World Cup or something.
Soccer is. I'd fall asleep for 2 days too. My answer is simple. If people watch the Truman Show nonstop in that film, they can watch this shit too.
It's fair. That's fair.
I actually thought of the Truman Show when I was watching this.
No kidding. Oh, here we all are sharing brainwaves again.
So in the end, I didn't hate this movie. And I didn't hate it. I liked it when I first saw it. I didn't hate it now, but they did a much better job establishing a universe and a world and characters that exist in the world than setting up a hero that you actually care about.
Give me a number.
5.
Ooh. These notes brought to you by guttingthesacredcow.com. Find some cool-ass merch, hat, bags, you name it. Of course, guttingthesacredcow@gmail.com if you want to say hi or advertise with us. Notes! Wes Bentley's facial hair looks like the gayest magician ever. Or he was part of Mystery the Pickup Artist crew.
Wow.
I don't know who that is.
I do.
I do too. You need to Google that, Joanne. There's a show on VH1 about a guy. This guy dressed as with a furry magician hat on, taught nerds how to pick up women.
Oh,
was it like Pickup Artist or something like that?
Yeah, it's exactly what it's called. Mystery the Pickup Artist. Why not just send the kids to fight in the Hunger Games, who the guidance counselors would just shrug their shoulders at and go, I don't know, you got me. Human sandbag? Like, pick out the loser kids. Why go through this whole lottery system? Just pick out the no good ones. The ones eating glue in the back of the corner and lighting their own jackets on fire. The reaping sounds like an everyday occurrence at Epstein Island to me.
Oh.
Just think, Joanne, if you could shoot a bow, you could have easily become a successful, mediocre actress like Jennifer Lawrence was.
It's so unfair.
Fourth note down, I wrote that. Jennifer Lawrence looks like the hottest hostess at a Chili's in Sheboygan, Wisconsin. Elizabeth Banks' character looks like Joe Pesci's character from JFK had a one-night stand with Cruella de Vil of 101 Dalmatians.
Huh.
It's a lot of layers here, guys. I just did with that joke.
Yeah.
And goddamn, I'm going to take my bouquets. Jennifer Lawrence has too many facial moles for my liking, but just for that reason, she'd be great as Cheetara for the live-action version of Thundercats.
Which we're still waiting for.
I'm with pins and needles. I'm waiting for that. For a bunch of teens about to walk the green mile on the battlefield, you think these teens who have raging hormones would be banging senseless in those mystical suites they're stationed in?
Yeah, I never thought about that.
I did. I'd be fucking my brains out if I'm about to possibly, I have a 1 in 15 chance, a 16 chance of dying, or whatever is it, 24 chance, excuse me. I might as well get my fuck on.
It'd be that, was it? I think I can't remember. I think it was Grease 2, which oddly goes back to Joanne. Where he takes her to the bunker and it's like, I think we're gonna die. We should just do it for America. And they sing that whole ridiculous song about doing it for America.
I'm so glad I've not seen Grease 2. Grease 1 was enough. I know.
It's so bad.
If it wasn't for you, Joanne, I still wouldn't have seen Grease 1.
You're welcome.
Instead of Woody Harrelson, how about his White Man Can't Jump co-star Rosie Perez offering advice on how to survive? You gotta find a bowl. Water is your friend, yo. I find it ironic that you need your legs waxed before you put a spear through a 13-year-old's heart on the battlefield.
Yep, it's weird.
Is this the red carpet pre-show on E coming from the Fifth Element universe? I knew I'd get Kevin Israel with that one. This is a cute showcasing of skills montage. We all know I'm a fan of the montage, but we all know the leader in the clubhouse when it comes to any kind of skills and exhibition montages is everyone else can take a back seat to the first 2 minutes and 40 seconds of the 1988 classic Bloodsport. God damn, they even borrowed from that to make Street Fighter characters. That's how good that film is. Donald Sutherland's eyebrows are ready to join the Hell in a Cell match between Peter Gallagher's and Eugene Levy's. Woody Harrelson, by far and away the winner of the Kurt Cobain haircut contest.
Yeah.
Only missing from him was some flannel and a wife who wouldn't shut her yap. Next. Caesar Flickerman looks like he would co-host a podcast with Andy Cohen in a king-size bed every week.
Huh.
I like when Joe just looks up in the air and thinks like, that checks out.
Yeah, I could see that.
Caesar Flickerman has more fake laughs than an NFL pregame show host panel. What's the first item we would go for? We answered that already. I love to think that I would lay in wait and snipe people like I'm playing Modern Warfare Call of Duty, but my ADD would kick in, and then it would kick in, and I would go stomp right into an ambush like a bull in a china shop. That would be me. I'd go, fucking, where is everybody? And then go look for somebody, and then I would get killed about halfway through. ADD. It's a mother. I would form an alliance like those guys did. That's a no-brainer. But then I would kill the guy who thinks he's in charge and while he's sleeping, and then slice him open so I could sleep inside his innards. And then I could say, and I thought these things smelled bad on the outside. That was for you, Kevin.
Nice, Luke.
Thank you. Thank you. This is bullshit. All these contrived things like the animals appearing out of nowhere, the fire bombs coming out of nowhere. What in the hell is going on? This is like juggling chainsaws on a ship deck in the middle of a maelstrom. That's pure cheating. God, I hated that. Not fair. I love how PETA, the first thing he must have ran for in that open field was not for a knife or an axe, but blush, rouge, and rock makeup. There are more black people at a NASCAR event than Panem. That's for sure. This is a good one. I'm very proud of myself for this one. Dropping a beehive on her enemies makes it quite obvious that Katniss Everdeen is a huge fan of the film My Girl.
Wow.
Clap it! He can't see without him clapping.
I've never noticed someone to have such a knee-jerk quote to My Girl until My Girl Joanne. Well done.
That was impressive.
Thank you.
PETA has the personality of a bread sandwich, which is ironic because he works in a bakery.
Mm.
Ain't that some shit? Dying surviving 2/3 of the battlefield, dying of poison berries? That's like getting lucky enough to find a briefcase of money on a sidewalk and then a car jumping the curb and running you over.
Mm.
Katniss with PETA against the final guy who kind of looks like me, I thought. Why didn't she just pull Jack Travitt and Speed and shoot the hostage? That's easier. Was I buying the chemistry between PETA and Katniss? No. They felt like they had the same amount of chemistry as someone who sits next to me in a middle seat on a 2 or 3 hour flight to somewhere in this fine state of ours. There was no chemistry whatsoever. It was more of a, all right, I guess I have to. It's like you're on a date with that someone your parents set you up with, and you're just going through the motions until the night's over. The ending was anticlimactic as all hell. I get this is part of a series. As a standalone, it's fine. I like it. I mean, it's fine. Will I watch it again? Maybe. No, it's nothing special. I had written down here a 6, but Joanne's points are very good enough to help me match my friend Kevin Israel with the same score of 5.5. So if we are all not simpatico, I don't know what the hell we are. Critics 5-star reviews. Whatever objections one might have about the execution, it's a compelling story that's been made into a serviceable film. Oh, by the way, I wrote this down in my notes. I like this better when it was called Battle Royale, if you've seen that, folks. It's a Japanese film where a bunch of kids kill each other. It's a hell of a lot more gory.
Ooh.
It's good.
Or watch Running Man. Which is also a great game show, kill everybody movie. And it's you don't have to be as uncomfortable about the kids situation.
Let's start running. God, Richard Dawson is such a great bad guy in that film.
Such a great movie. Every
time that it's on TV, I get sucked right in. Next one. Are you hungry yet? I hope so, because the Hunger Games that you are in for is a 7-course meal with all the trimmings guaranteed to satisfy even the most ravenous fan. I think this critic uses too many adjectives also describing a meal at TGI Fridays. Or in Joanne's case, a Red Lobster evening out.
Did I tell you that my family's Red Lobster burned down? And by my family's Red Lobster, I mean the one we would go to. We didn't own
not the one you owned. Were they able to at least save the biscuit stash?
No, not that I
know.
Of
the Red Lobster and Nosuchinsky's.
Yeah, I was going to say, did you have your high school graduation dinner there?
Oh, boy, no. Where did we go? Honestly, probably.
A deeply beautiful, affecting, and riveting film with a heroine for the ages. No. I can think of Atomic Blonde, Wanted, the Lara Croft Tomb Raider films. Mm-hmm. Hell, even Rey, even from the Star Wars second trilogy, which was terrible. At least she's a lot better. These are all better action heroes than this. Critics 1-star reviews. Just to show you how dim Gary Ross is, he seems to think he had an idea about how to portray the poorly oppressed people of District 12. He had them all dressed up as 1930s characters. Yep, that's his idea. An edible product, but it leaves the spectator in need of a more satisfying meal. Do we need?
I don't mind that one.
Puns?
But that one, that's an accurate one to me. I'm not satisfied. I'm still hungry.
Have a Snickers, Joe.
Oh, I actually do have some.
A retread of a tale that's The Running Man meets Lord of the Flies with a dash of Twilight for tween adoring measure. It's far too long and much inferior to the ferocious Japanese Battle Royale. Amazon 5-star reviews. I've read several of the reviews, and some criticize that Jennifer Lawrence doesn't look like she's starving to death. Well, there's a good reason Katniss isn't starving and underweight when the movie begins. Signed, Joanne Noscuhinsky. Aha!
Shut up.
Played your hand a little too early, my dear. Every time they're outside in this movie, they're in the beautiful state of North Carolina. The scene where Katniss finds Peeta hiding in camouflage, that waterfall in the background is Triple Falls, located in the DuPont State Recreational Forest. Well, thank you, local tourism board. Everyone's going to come on down and say, this is the part where Peeta decided to put makeup on for 2.5 hours and scare Katniss. Overall, it was a good movie, but it's a bit too violent for me. Sorry. 5-star rating, by the way. Hunger Games must be a documentary because it sure does feel familiar. Sure, The Wizard of Oz designed the costumes and sets, and of course, President Snow bears no resemblance to the compassionate truth teller now occupying our highest office. This was written back in 2014. But let's face it, ESPN would have to fight off sponsors with a spiked mace. Our thirst for blood sport has been so satisfied by movies, TV, and manner of ball games, but rest assured, if some enterprising promoter thought he could get away with it, we would have Monday night gladiatorial combat on every screen, big and small, in this country. Signed, Gavin McInnes. They did have a show like that. It was called American Gladiators, and it was goddamn great.
It was, especially the original one.
The theme song alone is enough to send those nostalgia chills right down my spine. The game for Nintendo, not that great, though. Okay, so I was really excited to see this film. I read Harry Potter once. My biggest disappointment was Rue. I mean, come on. The actor was about 12 and a half years too young. I was also very disappointed in the severe lack of sexual content. I mean, The Matrix had a full-on sideways sex scene that this movie could have really used, but hey, I'm not Mormon, so IDK.
Oh my God. Signed, a 65-year-old creep.
Yeah. Where was the sex scene in The Matrix? Was it the second one? God, I blanked that out of my mind. Amazon 1-star reviews. I'm supposed to care about Katniss because she's the protagonist. During the first 10 minutes of the movie, she threatens to cook a cat, she shoots at a deer, and then she shoots a bird. As soon as she shoots the bird, she and the guy she's with laugh.
Okay.
Dinner's ready. I mean, what the hell? Obviously, these aren't real animals getting hurt, but these actions destroy any empathy I might have built for her. I didn't want to spend the next 140 minutes rooting against a person who is supposed to be the hero of the story. I want to like the heroes I root for. So I stopped watching the film and watched something else.
Wow.
Okay.
You're working at a whole different level, guy.
My hero. After my son, husband, and I read all the books, we were very excited for the movies to come out. We couldn't afford the theater, so we waited to rent. I wish I could get my money back for the rental. They screwed up the story so badly, left out so many crucial parts of the character development, it's a disgrace. If you can't afford to go to the theater to see this movie, you should be driving Uber right now instead of writing reviews on Amazon. That's what I say.
Paul got to wear the family pair of shoes that day to go down to the video store.
The general store. Seriously, guys, if you find amusement in kids killing kids, you really need to seek professional help. No wonder why we have so many mass shootings involving kids. If this sort of cruelty is what the media is feeding them, on the other hand, it may be seen as rebuff to the gun control crowd. A lot of senseless carnage was done without firing a single shot.
I don't find enjoyment out of kids killing kids. I do find enjoyment out of 30-year-olds playing kids killing each other.
Wouldn't it be better if the kids in the Breakfast Club had their own version of survival games? Boy, the first one to kill
better movie.
The first one to kill Molly Ringwald would earn my entire heart for the rest of mankind. Last one. After so much emulation of these Roman evils by the Nazis during World War II, Hollywood has the audacity to make a movie that promotes and commemorates those evils with love and sensuality mixed in it. Shame on Hollywood for producing such an evil film. People, stop subscribing to these garbage promotions of evil from Hollywood so that the financial pressures will convince the stupid producers to promote something good. This country has lost its sense of good and bad. Shame on Hollywood for promoting this Nazi-promoting film. Signed, Yasmin Bleeth.
Shame.
Wow.
Ding, ding. Kevin Israel, did Joanne Noscuhinsky gut the sacred cow?
She did. And in this situation, I want to be clear on the opinion of my judgment is that she didn't make this movie out to be a piece of shit, but she proved that it's quite not the iconic, perfect movie that people often make it out to be. It's got a lot of holes in it, and I especially don't think it holds up over time.
No.
Not at all. To be fair, though, who's really talking about the Hunger Games 11 years after the fact? I've not heard anyone.
Well, didn't Jennifer Lawrence just get shit for saying that she was the first female action star? And everybody was like, wait a minute, lady.
Mm-hmm.
Did she not see a film from 1986, I think, called Red Sonja with Brigitte Nielsen?
Oh, people were like listing all of the women who came before her.
She's going to go on Morning tomorrow and go, and another thing, Bill Schultz. You wouldn't last 5 minutes in that world in Panem.
Joanne, you should go into the morning show tomorrow with your bow and arrow and shoot him in the knee.
Oh, my God.
And then have three fingers in there and go.
Yeah,
that's how I wanted to start the show and I forgot.
Did they ever explain what that meant, the fingers?
Well, Joanne, that's called second or third base, depends on where you come from.
Oh.
Actually, my wife said that it's explained in the books that they hold up.
Remember.
They hold up the 3 for the 13th district that got destroyed.
Oh.
3 for the
Shouldn't
13th.
they hold up a 1,
I mean,
I love how Ashley Israel is dropping her own 5 fun facts in our episode. Tell her thank you. I appreciate that. Kevin Israel, Joanne Noscuhinsky, 2 of my absolute favorites on this show. You've outdone yourselves again, if possible. And I love this chemistry and combination we always have together. Everyone, thanks again for joining us on another weekly edition of Gutting the Sacred Cow. Tell your friends, tell a family, and we'll see you next week. Later.